The Republican Party is still on a renaming spree in an effort to put Donald Trump's name on everything. Florida Republican Greg Steube is demanding that Washington, D.C. rename our subway trains after the president. And if it doesn't happen, he says Congress will cut funding to the public transit system that's shared by riders in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. Stubbe wants the whole agency's name of the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority, WMATA, to change to the Washington Metropolitan Authority for Greater Access, WMAGA, WMAGA, and rename the whole metro system to the Trump train. Because Washington, D.C. is not a state, the rules are different. Other cities will have their budgets approved by its mayor and city council, but in D.C., the budget that's created by the mayor has to be approved by Congress. Representative Steube said events like the 2027 NFL draft being in D.C. and the 2026 FIFA World Cup games in the DC area as the reason for wanting to rebrand to the Trump name. But none of the other host cities in America have been threatened with funding cuts if they don't change the names of their public transit systems to Trump. So on May 29th, Steube introduced the Make Auto Rail Great Again Act. Here's the bill that was introduced in Congress, and I'll read it to you. This bill is to prohibit any federal funds from being provided to the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority until such authority is renamed the Washington Metropolitan Authority for Greater Access, or the WMAGA, and the Metro Rail as the Trump train. The DC Metro carries almost 600,000 customers a day throughout the DMV. With DC's Metro having 98 stations, it's the second busiest metro system in the United States after New York City. Other Republicans have tried renaming a lot of stuff around America to the Trump name or image. There was a proposal to add Trump's likeness to Mount Rushmore. GOP Representative Anna Paulina Luna from Florida wanted Trump put onto the South Dakota National Memorial showing the faces of American presidents George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. And she excitedly said, "Let's get to carving." News Nation obtained a picture of the card for Greg Steube's bill, which News Nation said he was handing out to people on Capitol Hill. The card is looking for co-sponsors for his WMAGA bill. Steube said that rebranding the DC Metro would promote efficiency, service quality, and public trust, according to this report. There's something the Republican Party just doesn't realize. DC is not a conservative city. We are Democrats and have always voted majority Democrat. Here's a chart showing how the DC voters have voted in presidential elections since 1964. The 1964 election, where President Lyndon B. Johnson defeated Republican Barry Goldwater in one of the largest landslides in U.S. history. DC voted more than 85% in the Democrats' favor. Even the 1968 vote for president, Republican Richard Nixon won the election, but DC residents voted more than 81% in favor of the Democrats. And the DC Republican vote was more than 18%. The more recent presidential races had overwhelmingly Democratic support. In 2008 and 2012, Barack Obama received well over 90% of Washington, D.C.'s vote. Hillary Clinton also received over 90% of D.C.'s vote. Joe Biden received over 90% of D.C.'s vote in 2020, and Kamala Harris also received over 90% of D.C.'s vote as the Democratic candidate in 2024. 6% of D.C.'s vote went Republican, and 3% went to the third party. All of our mayors that have been voted in since D.C.'s Home Rule Act in 1974 were all Democrats. We are a Democratic city. As a D.C. resident, I can tell you we don't want a Trump train. We'd rather shut the whole system down and find other transportation than to ride the Trump train. We don't want a monument or a statue dedicated to him. We will sadly put up with him until he leaves. But please, take your toys and go home. The GOP just don't get much love in DC, and I'd wish they'd stop trying to push themselves on us. And if Greg Steube thinks by renaming stuff in DC will make it more efficient and have better quality, he's sadly mistaken. Many Washingtonians still call Ronald Reagan Airport by its old name of National Airport. Some people have just settled for the airport. A Republican name change won't get you much respect in DC. So my question to you is, how do you feel about Republicans wanting to change DC's public transit system from the WMATA to WMAGA? Let me know in the comments. I'm Dickie D, your DC tour guide, and I will see you around Washington.